Welcome to a new series called Cooking with Hobbit. Today we're going to be exploring a cookbook sent to me by St Martins Griffin for review. This is the in-depth cookbook, and it is based upon the books from JD Robb, who is a fantastic writer. And this cookbook comes from Teresa Carle Sanders. I hope I said her name correctly. And as you can tell, opening up, we got some beautiful high gloss photos. You can see some of the other books that she has written, which I do have all three of these. They are really great. And then we have a really nice little dedication, and we get into the contents. There's a lot of different sections. I'm going to be doing a multiple series videos on this cookbook, but tonight let's focus on pasta. Spaghetti just sounded really wonderful to me tonight for dinner, and this is a very simple, straightforward recipe. As you can tell up here, we have a really cute excerpt from the book, another beautiful photo. I'm going to let y'all pause to read or screenshot if you want to try this recipe for yourself. And then on the back, we can tell this is just real simple, very, very minimal steps. So let's get into it. All right, I do already have my pork and beef together in a bowl. I am actually doubling this recipe, but for the just base ingredients for 2 servings, you can go back just a few seconds, but let's start getting our meats combined first, and then we're going to add in some fun seasonings and some breadcrumbs. So now I'm going to add in about 4 tablespoons, because remember, I'm doubling of breadcrumbs. I don't really measure, I just kind of measure with my heart, because that looks about right to me. We're going to add in some salt and pepper. Again, just kind of season with your heart like I do, or until the spirits of your ancestors say, "That's enough, my child." And then we're also going to add in grated half of an onion, very small onion grated, and that's going to help keep this meat really tender and give it some great flavor. And then also we need to add in some Parmesan cheese. That looks about right to me. And then we're going to mix this all together again. So again, like I said, we're just going to give this a good mix. Now that we have everything mixed together, we want to make some meatballs. We're going to make these a little bit larger than a golf ball, and we're going to place them on a baking sheet that's lined with parchment, which I'm out of. So we're just going to use some foil that's lightly rubbed down with olive oil. Let's get to it. So really, we're looking for something about like this. We kind of want a meatball about like so, and that's kind of what we're going with. And then we're just going to keep rolling these out. Now, I do have a lot more meat than this that I'm going to freeze for dinner for another night, so I have ready-made meatball stuff. But we're going to get these in the oven again at 425, and we want to bake these for about 12 to 15 minutes or until they are cooked through. So let's get these in the oven, and then let's start our sauce. Now we've got a pan with some oil in it starting to warm up, and we are now going to take our pancetta, add it to the pan. We kind of want to render the fat just a little bit and right before it crisps. So about 5 minutes, let's get this in the pan. So now we're just going to kind of working on, like I said, just getting this nice and brown. We're going to render that beautiful, beautiful fat down, because that's going to give our sauce some flavor. And like I said, we don't want it crispy. Well, I mean, if you like it crispy for yours, you go right ahead. But I'm going to try to go by the book for this one as much as possible. Now that I've got this rendered down some and it's not quite crisp, I'm going to add in my garlic that I've freshly grated, about 2 cloves. And now I will say this did say to grate the onion. However, I like a very chunky sauce. So I decided for this portion of it, just to kind of make that kind of diced, kind of chunked up. I'm a chunky sauce person. But again, recipes, we can also use them as guidelines sometime and go by whatever we desire. Because again, we can always alter stuff to our taste. And especially if you have allergies, you know, we can always alter that too. So here I am just kind of getting this. I want to get these onions nice and translucent. And once they're translucent, then we'll start adding in our tomatoes, but let's get this going. Okay, so I've kind of got these onions pretty translucent. So now I need to add my tomatoes and my stock. So let's grab those. So now I've got my tomatoes. I do highly recommend getting San Marzano. There's a lot of different variants of San Marzanos, but I just go with these for value because these really make a difference. You can use store-bought, but this is the one thing I highly recommend over store-bought. And then we're going to, as these cook, we will kind of flatten these and mash these down with the back of our spatula, but we need to get stock in. So I just kind of threw my stock in here. That way I can go ahead and get some of this extra tomato out of the bottom. And then I'll kind of add more stock as I need it. But we are going to try to get this to reduce down. We want it to thicken a little bit. And then we're going to slowly break up these with our spatula. But mainly right now, we just want to mainly get the sauce going really nice and good and getting this reduced so it'll thicken. So let's do that and we will be right back. So now I've got my sauce to a consistency that I like. I went ahead and I just switched spatulas just because this one's easier to scrape. You can see I've gotten all those tomatoes broke up. And like I said, I like chunkier, so you can see all those nice cut up onions. So now we need to add our meatballs back to this and simmer for another 15. So let's get those added. Okay, I've got my meatballs in. So let's get this simmering and I will see y'all in 15 again. Okay, now while this simmers, we also want to make sure we've got our pasta cooking. Feel free to use any type of pasta you want. I'm going to use spaghetti noodles because making spaghetti, but you could always use fettuccine, rotini, anything you like. So now that we've got this simmering, let's go cook pasta. So now we've got this cooked, we've got our sauce thickened up some, we've got our pasta cooked off to the side, so let's serve up some spaghetti. We also have some fresh grated Parmesan, so let's get into it. There you have it. We have two really nice bowls of spaghetti and meatballs. I will eat this and I will be back with some final thoughts, so see you in a bit. So, final thoughts. I really enjoyed the meatball and spaghetti overall. I had to make a couple tiny little tweaks here and there, like with seasonings, just to my preference, of course, but everything was absolutely delicious. I do highly recommend it. Again, I'm going to go ahead and leave this here for a second so that way you can kind of pause to screenshot the recipe again. But yeah, it was a really great meal. I super enjoyed it. I'm going to try to do cinnamon rolls next. So definitely stay tuned to look for those cinnamon rolls and I will see y'all later. Bye for now.